All right, ready for today's deep dive?
Ready when you are.
Awesome. Today we're unlocking doors to a future you might be dreaming of.
A future maybe abroad?
Exactly. Specifically, working, studying, or even settling permanently in the United States.
That's exciting.
It is. And we're going to explore a specific U.S. immigration pathway, the EB-2 visa.
Ah, the EB-2.
Consider this your personal orientation session.
Oh, I like that. A guide to figure out if this path is right for you.
Precisely. We're going straight to the source for this deep dive.
The
USCIS website, packed with info on the employment-based second preference, or EB-2 visa.
Straight from the horse's mouth. I like it.
So to kick things off, what's so special about this EB-2 visa anyway?
Well, it's designed for a specific group of people, skilled professionals, folks with advanced degrees, or those with exceptional abilities in certain fields.
Okay, so not just anyone can apply. It's for those bringing something special to the table.
Yeah. It recognizes that talent can come from anywhere and aims to attract individuals who can seriously impact U.S. society, and the economy, of course.
So it's about contributing something valuable, not just finding any job in the U.S.
You got it.
I like that. But I know the U.S. immigration system can be a bit of a maze.
Oh, tell me about it.
Can we break it down? Who exactly is this EB-2 visa for?
Absolutely. There are two main categories for the EB-2 visa.
Okay, lay it on me.
First, we have advanced degree professionals, which means you generally need at least a master's degree or something similar.
Makes sense. So you need to have some serious academic credentials.
Right. And then the second category is for individuals with exceptional ability.
Exceptional ability, huh? So we're not just talking about being good at something. We're talking about being at the top of your game.
Exactly. And this usually applies to the sciences, arts, or business.
So we're talking about proven talent and a track record to back it up.
Precisely.
Now, I have to ask the age-old question. What about needing a U.S. employer to sponsor you?
Ugh, the million-dollar question. You're right, that's a big one for many folks wanting to move to the U.S.
And does it apply to the EB-2?
In most cases, yes. You would need a U.S. employer to sponsor you and go through a process called labor certification.
Labor certification. Reminds me of a ton of paperwork.
Well, it involves proving that they couldn't find a qualified American worker to fill the position, basically.
So they have to show they really need you. But you mentioned most cases, which makes me think there are some exceptions.
You're sharp. There are some pretty interesting exceptions to this rule.
Ooh, exceptions. I bet our listeners are perking up right now.
One big one is for professions on something called Schedule A.
Schedule A. What's that all about?
These are jobs where the U.S. has a known shortage of workers. So labor certification is automatic. You don't have to go through that whole process.
That's a huge advantage. So for certain professions, the U.S. is basically rolling out the welcome mat.
Pretty much. For instance, nurses and physical therapists are in high demand right now.
So if you're a skilled nurse or physical therapist listening, good news for you. The U.S. wants you.
That's the gist of it. But what about folks who aren't on Schedule A? Are there any other ways to skip the employer sponsorship?
Right. That's the other big hurdle. Is there a way around it?
There is, and it's called the National Interest Waiver.
Okay, the National Interest Waiver sounds intriguing. What's the deal with that one?
It's for people with exceptional abilities. And here's the kicker. Their work has to benefit the U.S. in a major way.
So their work has to be important enough to bypass the usual job offer requirement.
Exactly. They can self-petition for the EB-2 visa.
Wait, hold on. Self-petition? No employer sponsorship needed.
That's right.
That's a game changer. But I'm guessing it's pretty tough to get.
You're not wrong. It's definitely a competitive pathway. But hey, achievable for the right person.
I can imagine. So what are they looking for when granting this national interest waiver? What makes someone stand out?
The main thing is proving your work will benefit the United States. And they look at 3 key factors.
3 factors. Okay. I'm hooked. Let's break those down one by one. What's the first hurdle?
The first one is whether your work has substantial merit and national importance.
Substantial merit and national importance. That sounds pretty serious.
It is. It means your work has to tackle a big issue, really advance a specific field, or bring something truly unique to the U.S.
So it's not just about being good, it's about making a difference.
Exactly.
Say someone's researching a cure for a major disease. Would that be considered substantial merit and national importance?
It definitely could be, especially if it's a disease affecting a lot of people in the U.S.
So the impact has to be significant.
Yes, and relevant to the U.S. context.
That makes sense. So you need to think big picture and connect your work to the needs of the U.S.
Exactly. Now, the second factor focuses more on you.
Okay, so we've established that your work needs to be important. What about the person doing the work? What do they need to show?
They need to convince USCIS that they are well-positioned to advance the proposed endeavor.
So basically, prove you're the right person for the job. No empty promises.
Exactly. This is where your track record comes in. Your achievements, your expertise.
So show them you can walk the walk. What kind of evidence helps? Like publications, awards, things like that.
Exactly. It's all about building a strong case. Have you published groundbreaking research? Do you hold patents?
So you need to prove you're not just starting out, that you've already made a significant impact.
Precisely.
All right, so you've shown that your work matters and that you're the one to lead the charge. What's that final factor that clenches it?
Well, the third factor is the heart of the National Interest Waiver.
Okay, the heart of it. I'm all ears.
You need to demonstrate why it's more beneficial for the U.S. to waive the job offer requirement.
So you're essentially saying, I'm so valuable, my work is so important, that it's in the U.S.'s best interest to have me there, even without a specific job lined up.
That's a great way to put it. You're arguing that your presence would benefit everyone.
A win-win for you, your field, and the U.S.
You got it.
This national interest waiver sounds like a fantastic opportunity. But even understanding the three factors, I imagine the application process is still a beast.
Oh, you're absolutely right. It's a lot to gather the right evidence, tell a compelling story, and navigate the legal stuff.
And that's probably where some expert guidance comes in handy.
Big time. And that's where a program like Immigration Bridging Academy can really help. They're all about helping people understand U.S. immigration law.
Especially pathways like this national interest waiver.
Exactly. They really specialize in that.
Makes sense. Because even though I enjoy learning about all this, I bet the actual application process can make your head spin. What kind of help do they offer?
They've got a really complete approach. They start by seeing if the EB-2, particularly the national interest waiver, even makes sense for you.
So it's not one size fits all. They help figure out the best path for each person.
Right, because not everyone's going to qualify for this waiver, you know.
I get it. So what if someone's listening and they think, this is it, this is my chance? What's next?
If the EB-2 looks like a good fit, they'll help you gather all the documents you need. Remember those?
All the evidence we talked about.
Yep. They make sure you have it all to build a solid case. And they even help with translations.
Translations.
Yeah, if needed, which can be a lifesaver for people applying from other countries.
That takes a huge weight off your shoulders. It sounds like they hold your hand through the whole paperwork jungle.
Pretty much. But what about the actual application itself? Do they help with that too?
That's what I'm wondering.
Absolutely. They help you put together a really strong application, making sure everything's accurate and shows off your qualifications in the best light.
So they're like your personal hype team.
Kinda. They want you to shine, you know? And their guidance can really make a difference. But you might be wondering, all this support probably costs an arm and a leg, right?
Yeah. Navigating the immigration process can be expensive. What about people who are worried about costs?
They've got you covered. Immigration Bridging Academy knows money can be a big problem, so they have flexible payment plans and even scholarships.
That's really helpful, making it accessible to more people. What about all those government fees? Do they help with those?
They totally do. They're upfront about all the costs related to the EB-2. No surprises.
Transparency is key when you're making such a huge life change. It's great that they're so open about that, but I bet the support doesn't stop once the application's submitted.
Nope. The waiting game after submitting can be super stressful.
I can only imagine.
But they stick with you. They keep you updated, help you respond to any questions from USCIS. It's like having a friend in your corner.
That sounds super reassuring. Someone to hold your hand through all the uncertainty.
Right. It takes a lot of the stress out of the process. Now, the national interest waiver can be amazing, but it's just one part of the EB-2.
Oh, right. We can't forget about the other folks who might be a better fit for the advanced degree professional's path.
Exactly. Let's switch gears and talk about that for a bit. It might be perfect for some people.
Sounds good. Can you remind us what you need for that category?
Sure thing. Like the name says, it's for people with advanced degrees, usually at least a master's degree or something equivalent. And you'll need a job offer from a U.S. employer who'll sponsor you.
So, unlike the waiver, Employer sponsorship is a must-have here.
Exactly. Makes sense, right?
It does.
Yeah.
What about that labor certification process? Does that apply here too?
In most cases, yep. The employer needs to show they couldn't find a qualified American for the job, and that hiring you won't hurt the wages or working conditions of American workers in similar jobs.
It sounds like a lot for both the employer and the applicant to go through.
Oh, it can be. And this is another area where Immigration Bridging Academy steps in.
Oh, how so?
They help the employers with that whole labor certification process, making sure they have everything they need. They help the applicant gather all the right stuff, too.
Wow. It sounds like they're experts on pretty much every aspect of the EB-2 visa.
You could say that, but our listeners might be thinking, okay, this all sounds good, but is it worth the effort?
Right. Is it really worth jumping through all these hoops?
I think it can be. I've seen it change lives. Like this one person I worked with, let's call her Sarah. She was a software engineer, super talented, from Kenya.
Okay, Sarah from Kenya, what's her story?
She had a master's degree from a top university back home and was working at this tech startup that was doing really well. But she had bigger dreams.
To make it big in the U.S.?
Yeah, she wanted to be part of the global tech scene, and she saw the U.S. as the place to be.
So she had the talent, the drive.
Yeah,
She just needed a way to get there.
exactly. And luckily, her skills were in high demand. She got a job offer from a tech company in Silicon Valley.
That's incredible.
We worked together on her EB-2 application. We focused on her master's, her specific skills, and how she can make a positive impact on the U.S. tech industry.
So you were highlighting all her strengths, showing how she could contribute.
Exactly. It was a long process, but she got the visa.
Wow, what an amazing outcome. That's so inspiring.
It was. And now she's living in California working on really cool projects and making a name for herself. She even told me she started applying for permanent residency.
That's fantastic. A real testament to hard work and perseverance.
Mhm.
Her story shows how the EB-2, even the advanced degree professionals path, can open up amazing opportunities.
It really does. And it's not just about getting a job, it's about pursuing your passions.
Right. Contributing your skills, building a life you've always wanted.
You said it. Sarah's story is just one of many. So many people have used the EB-2 visa to reach their goals and build new lives in the U.S.
It must be so rewarding for you to see those success stories.
It really is. It's an honor to help people through this process and see how it changes their lives.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today. From all the details of the National Interest Waiver to the steps involved in the advanced degree professionals path, we've just scratched the surface. But hopefully, our listeners have a better idea of what the EB-2 can offer.
I hope so too.
It's been amazing diving into the EB-2 visa, hearing how it helps Sarah reach her goals. But let's be real, the application process can seem like a mountain to climb.
It can definitely feel that way.
You might be thinking, where do I even begin? There's a lot to take in.
Totally understandable.
So let's make it simple. What's the first step if you've decided the EB-2 is for you?
Okay, so the key is this form. Form I-140. It's officially called the Immigrant Petition for Alien Workers.
Form I-140, got it. And everyone applying needs to fill this out.
Well, in most cases, it's actually the U.S. employer who files it for the applicant.
Oh, right, because of the sponsorship thing.
Exactly. But remember those self-petitioning for the National Interest Waiver? They'd use this form too.
So whether your employer's doing it or you're doing it yourself, it's the foundation.
Exactly.
I bet it's pretty detailed.
Oh, yeah. You basically lay out your qualifications, your work experience, and what you plan to do in the U.S.
So it's like a super detailed professional resume, right, for USCIS?
Pretty much. But with lots of extra proof.
You mentioned supporting documents. What kind of proof are we talking about?
You need to back up everything you say in the application, you know?
Show, don't tell.
Yeah. So think diplomas, transcripts, letters of recommendation, anything that shows you're the real deal.
That's a lot to handle. It's great that Immigration Bridging Academy can help with all that.
For sure. They make sure everything is top-notch and highlights your best stuff.
Now, what about the money part? I know there are fees involved.
Definitely. There are fees for filing Form I-140. It can vary a bit.
I'm sure Immigration Bridging Academy can explain all that.
Oh, absolutely. They're super clear about the fees. No surprises.
Okay, so you've submitted your application, all perfect and complete. What happens next? You just wait.
Pretty much. USCIS reviews everything, and that takes time. They might need more info from you.
So the waiting game begins.
Yeah, and it can be tough, not knowing what's going to happen.
I can imagine. All your hopes and dreams hanging in the balance.
But the great thing is, Immigration Bridging Academy stays with you. They keep you updated on everything and help you handle any requests from USCIS.
So they don't just drop you after you apply. That's great.
Exactly. They're there for you every step of the way, which takes so much stress off.
It's like having a personal guide through the whole process.
Exactly. And they're all about transparency and giving you personalized guidance. It's more than just filling out forms, you know?
It's about supporting your journey.
You got it.
Well, we've explored a lot about the EB-2 visa, haven't we? From the nitty-gritty to the inspiring stories. What's the biggest takeaway for our listeners today?
I think the big takeaway is this. If you're a skilled professional, have an advanced degree, or have exceptional abilities, and you want to bring those talents to the U.S., the EB-2 could be your ticket.
It's a way to make those dreams happen. And remember, you don't have to do it alone. Immigration Bridging Academy is there to help you every step of the way.
Exactly. They have the knowledge and the passion to make this whole process a lot less scary.
So if you're feeling a little overwhelmed, don't let that stop you. Reach out to Immigration Bridging Academy, have a chat with them, see if this path is the right fit.
Couldn't have said it better myself. A free consultation can answer so many questions and point you in the right direction.
Perfect advice. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the EB-2 visa.
My pleasure.
We hope you found it helpful and maybe even a little bit inspiring. Remember, the first step is always the hardest. But once you take it, who knows what incredible things might happen.
Exactly. Go for it. You never know where it might lead you.
That's a wrap for today.